Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Donna and I'm your host of Donna's Edge television, radio, and podcast talk show. Thank you so much for watching every day, Monday through Friday, beginning 2 p.m. on the Eastern time zone as I get to ride home with you in the afternoon. It's always a fun ride. Been doing this over 20 years, and I appreciate you guys listening to me all those years and try to keep up the pace with you. You can find us on television. That's Abundant Television, found on Roku, Apple TV, and Amazon Fire. Don't forget the podcast on the newscasters.com. You can also find us on the radio. Yeah, we're the biggest country station in South Carolina, WZLA 92.9 FM on the dial. Make sure you mention and listen to Benji and Lacey every morning. They have a 3-hour show. I don't know how they dig it, but they do it. They do a great, great job. Another thing I like about Benji, about 7:30ish, somewhere like that, he always has, he'll repeat a biblical scripture, and then he'll just kind of give his take on it, what he thinks it is. And so he does an excellent job for that. But thank you all, guys. Continue sending emails. It makes my day. Donna at donnasedge.com. Donna at donnasedge.com. I have a very special guest with me right now, and he's from my home state of North Carolina, David Buzzard, who's running for Congress. And so we're all interested in hearing from you. I know we've got a couple of friends that Don Brown, you know him, he's running for U.S. Senate. And and you guys are good friends.
Oh, yeah.
So let me talk to you about why you're running for office and what got you to this point. What have you done in your past that makes you so creative and just ready to go for it?
Yeah, well, let me tell you, Donna. So essentially, I was born in 1990 in Fayetteville, North Carolina. I dealt with a lot of the issues that Americans deal with. I had a broken family, dealt with divorce at a young age. I was kind of moving all over the place. It was a rough time. So situations with jobs with my father were rough. And so I got to see all that growing up. Growing up in Fayetteville, naturally, I had an inclination to join the military out of high school. It just so happened that it was the 2008 financial crisis also hitting at that same time, but that wasn't the reason I joined. I lived through September 11th, and I remember, seeing those towers go down, and I knew I was going to serve the nation when that happened. But with that being said, I spent my 19th birthday in basic training, and I earned my first Purple Heart before I could even drink a beer legally. And so I really wanted to serve this nation as a special forces guy. I joined a little too early to actually get that in my contract, and then I ended up getting wounded twice in Afghanistan. And so I kind of rethought that re-enlistment process after I got back home. A couple things happened to me in Afghanistan to really give me a kind of it made me rethink re-enlisting, and rather than becoming the tip of the spear, I wanted to focus on holding the people who hold the spear accountable. I saw some great special forces guys get killed in some what I would call meaningless missions, and it really shook me to the core. And I'm no pacifist, but when we're going to send our men and women into danger zone, it needs to be worth something, and it needs to be an honorable death. And so I really dedicated myself to really just looking for accountability. I came home. I dealt with homelessness. I messed up my paperwork for school, and I didn't have a job that was paying enough for my rent. I ended up on a friend's couch working at a car wash, and so I've dealt with those issues. I numbed myself with drugs on the feeling like I had kind of failed everyone around me and the friends that I had lost in Afghanistan. But I was able to pick myself up by the bootstraps. I was able to put myself through college. I ended up going through FTCC over in Fayetteville, and then transferring to Cape Fear Community College down here in Wilmington, North Carolina. Transferred there to UNCW, where I got my degree, and I met the love of my life. We now have 2 young children, and I've been able to capture the American dream. We were able to secure a house in the middle of COVID when the rates were still semi-low, and we've just been able to flourish, essentially. We do still have issues with affordability. I mean, I'm a normal guy, and the American lifestyle is getting harder and harder to live. And that's something that I really want to fight for. I've been working on the veteran space in terms of fighting big pharma when it comes to opening access to holistic modes of healing. I've seen too many of my friends commit suicide, and they were all on pills. They were all on pharmaceuticals. I think we need to change the status quo, and we need to fight the way that we've been treating these veterans. It's funny enough, I can't get a gym membership from the VA. But they do want to peddle me these pills. And my whole thought process is if I had a gym membership, that might help my psychological, that would help me out a lot more than peddling me these pills. And so with that being said, I've just seen so many different people dropping the ball. Our representatives up there have no urgency. There's a lot of things going unaddressed. There's a lot of things for our future that just drove me into this. And so long story short, I basically told my boss, I was working at HBOT for Heroes. It's a nonprofit that helps veterans receive hyperbaric oxygen therapy, what helps with the TBI, the PTSD, things that lead to the suicidal ideation. I told them that I wanted to run for office and essentially that I would have to, step away from my position, making great amount of money, standing up for, a great cause in order to stand up for what I believed in. And I prayed on it. And the thing is, I can't ask another man to take a risk I'm unwilling to make myself. And so I put on the armor of God, and now I'm speaking up for truth. And the thing is, again, we need good culture warriors up there to win the hearts and minds of our young people, because right now the left, they're slick, silver tongued, and they're winning them over right now with this idealistic utopian speech. And there's no ounce of realism in it at all. And I look at my two young daughters and I tell you, I fear for their future. And the thing is, if we don't actually get a hold of this now, looking at the way that technology is going and AI and, these super state apparatuses, I fear we may lose it forever. And so I felt the call to action and to serve. I want to serve this nation honorably. I want to serve our people honorably. I want to look after our health and make sure that we're getting good food, good water. We have the money, we have the infrastructure, we have the capability to make sure that our people have the best, healthiest lifestyles. But for some reason, all that money gets pushed elsewhere to all these other interests. And so I want to be up there to fight for us, to fight for our kids, and to make sure that, again, we have a good, viable future. Something that I'm talking about that no one seems to be interested in is AI takeover. Look, I think AI is a useful tool, and there's been historical incidences like the Luddites where people have revolted against technology. And the thing is, this is not something like the printing press. This is not like the telephone. This is not even like the internet. This is something completely far beyond anything we've ever seen or can even comprehend. And I fear that if humanity lunges into this abyss, we're going to end up losing every ounce of what humanity truly is. I mean, everyone's seen the movie WALL-E, and I feel like we're going to be those individuals riding around on those buggies with the screens in front of our faces, drinking the big gulp, not living a life, but consuming. And that's not something that I think is a conservative lifestyle. It's not something that I want to fight for and die for, I'll tell you that. And I know it's not something that a lot of young Americans would want to fight and die for. And so we need to make sure that we're securing a good future, a human future. That doesn't mean we can't have these as tools, but there needs to be regulation put around them, some rail guards that actually ensure jobs. For instance, truck drivers. There's 8 million truck driving jobs or Uber jobs, different types of transport jobs that need to be protected from this automation. These are good jobs that afford good lifestyles, or better than your typical minimum wage. But the moment that the market says that it's more profitable to replace you with a robot, they're going to do it. And the thing is, capitalism's good, but this is why the young people are shifting to the left, is because we're not addressing their key concerns, like having a job opportunity in the future to be able to even purchase the American dream, to have a house, to be in the middle class. And that's what makes America great, is the middle class. And so we need to be making it easier for people to achieve that American dream. And so I think protecting good paying jobs is one of those prime directives that any representative should be up there doing. And if I'm up there, that's one thing I'm going to be making sure I look out for.
Well, first of all, I want to say thank you so much for your service. Absolutely. My father-in-law is a World War II veteran, and I've listened to him talk about the pitfalls and the issues he's had, just plain old medication, like you were talking about earlier. I'm an herbalist, and some of the shows are about things that you can actually do for yourself from a plant that God actually gave us, and it works. It really does. Of course, you have limitations involved with that, just like you would a regular, pharmaceutical type thing.
Course.
But I also wanted to ask you a question about this, because a lot of folks are really concerned about education in the schools. And I am. Now, I'm back from the olden days where in the 1970s, if you brought a calculator to school in math, you would be expelled. I mean, that's what it was. So in the 90s, when my son was in school, I think around the 8th grade, 9th grade, he comes in from school one day and he says, "Mom, got to have a calculator for math." And I'm like, "You what?" And he said, "I have a calculator." And I said, "For math? No, that's cheating. You could get expelled for that." Back in my olden days, that's the way it was. And I still believe that, because you're not using your brain. Well, exactly. That's why when you go to a drive-through, if you give a kid $20.25, they don't have a clue how to give you change back. I mean, they don't have a clue. And so that's harmed our kids. And so anyways, long story short, I called the teacher, in case he's lying to him about this, just because he wants the calculator. And she said, "Yes, Donna, he has to have it." And I said, "That's cheating." And so I took him out of school, put him in a private school, a good Christian school. After that, I wasn't happy at all. We need to get kids back to the basics of reading, writing, and arithmetic. Another thing that's not taught in schools, and I'd love to hear how you would address this. Okay, so kids don't understand that, like when you buy a house or you buy a car or whatever, that you can make an extra payment, $100 a month. Just do that. Trick yourself into making 2 payments a month. You're tricking your own self into making 1 extra payment for the year. You can shave all kinds of interest and years off of that. Yep. What can be done to turn the educational system the other way around?
Well, I believe, like most people, that the education system is designed to, make us dumber, if you want my honest opinion, in order to be ruled over easier. I think that we should do away with the Department of Education, first off, and restore that power back to the states. They know where the money needs to go. But with that, we're making our kids dumber, like you said with the calculator situation, and I meet these people all the time that say, well, they need to learn the technology. Well, I'm not disagreeing with you, but when you give a kid ChatGPT, you're taking away their ability to critical think. I'm not saying don't teach them how to use that, but don't let them rely on it. And that's what they're doing right now. They can barely read. These kids can barely read. They know how to prompt ChatGPT, but they don't know how to actually have critical thinking. And that's not going to lead to a good voter, a good neighbor, a good American. I'm sorry, it's not. And this is stuff that we have to consider when we're putting together our curriculum. And we need long-term thinking. Again, I understand it's a useful tool and I understand the upfront benefits, but you got to look at the long-term debilitating issues that come from the long-term use of that. For instance, in my old job, my boss wanted me to use it to refine the emails. And I thought to myself, I'm losing my own ability I'm not sharpening my skills if I'm not doing it myself. I'm just leaning into a robot to do it for me, and I'm not doing my own research. And so, long story short, again, this is a useful tool that needs to be taught, but it doesn't need to be dependent upon. And that's what our schools have been doing with tablets, going back for years now. And I think it all has something to do with our cognitive issues and our attention deficits. And, there's a lot of things going on with that, when it comes to food. I mean, it's a whole collective of things that are compounding, right?
Mm-hmm. But absolutely. I wanted to mention this. You're in trouble when a restaurant has to close down because something happens to the cash registers. I mean,
or the power goes out and they can't give you your change. Well, exactly. They don't know how to change.
You're in trouble. Okay, let's go into a commercial break. Man, half hour went by quick. Let's go into a commercial break. We'll be right back. Twin City Used Car Sales has been serving drivers in the Northeast Alabama area for years with a quality selection of late model used cars, SUVs, and pickup trucks. On top of our extensive selection and competitive prices, we offer professional auto financing services for used car buyers of all credit levels. Whether you've just begun your search or you're ready to secure your next vehicle, at Twin City Used Car Sales, you will drive away with the vehicle of your dreams. The sales and finance staff at Twin City Used Car Sales looks forward to serving you, and you can apply for financing online before your visit to our used dealership in Gadsden, Alabama. Check us out on the web at twincityusedcars.com or go by our location at 901 First Avenue, Gadsden, Alabama. We sincerely look forward to serving you. At Lamone's Mexican Restaurant, located in Henniger, Alabama, and voted Best Mexican Restaurant of DeKalb County, Alabama 2020, we're here to serve you with authentic Mexican cuisine. Order easily online by going to lamonsmex.com or call 256-657-3999 to place your order. We're open Sunday through Thursday, 11 a.m. to 9 p.m. and Friday and Saturday, 11 a.m. to 10 p.m. Whether you're celebrating a cozy date night for two or a celebration for a crowd, at Lamone's you'll love our atmosphere and friendly servers. Thank you for dining with Lamone's Mexican Restaurant.
This is U.S. Senate candidate Don Brown. This race for the United States Senate in North Carolina is a race of we the people versus they the establishment. The Constitution's first three words are not we the establishment, but we the people. And because of our great grassroots conservatives in North Carolina, I'm pleased to say that we have the establishment candidate that's being rammed down our throats by big money, Mike Whatley. We've got him on the run. As a matter of fact, within the last few days, the Whatley campaign appears to have spent millions on television ads going into a primary race, and even has enlisted the AFP, which is an anti-Trump organization, to go knock on doors for him. Our Democrat opponent, Roy Cooper, has not having to do this. Why? Because Roy's got no competition. We're about to take Whatley out. I need everybody to keep it up. Please go to the polls if you haven't. And if you have gone to the polls, please encourage others to go as well. We will win this by force multiplication. Also, while we don't have to raise all the money that Whatley has raised, we got to raise enough to stay in a boxing ring. So please consider donating to our campaign. You can go to brown4nc.com and just hit the donate button. But above all else, get to the polls, get your friends and family members to the polls, and everyone you know, Don Brown for the United States Senate. This campaign will be a victory for we the people and a victory for the United States Constitution. Thank you so much.
At Liberty Bank, we're all about community. Whether it's to help with a charity fundraiser or help families in need, toys at Christmas, or a local football team, we're here for you. You see, we realize the importance of family. Sometimes it's to build a new home or necessary home repairs. We're here for you. If you like the feel of a small town bank with all the conveniences of a big city bank, we're here to serve you. You will find us at any of our convenient locations in DeKalb, Marshall, Etowah, and Blount counties in North Alabama. You can call and speak with any of our friendly staff at 256-659-2175 or check us out on the web at libertybankal.com. And thank you for your support of our community. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
I'm excited to announce our Christmas extravaganza is finally here. Get this season's flannel sheets for as low as $59.98. They won't last long, so get them while you can. Our famous My Slippers, they haven't been on sale for over a year. Regularly $119.98, now only $59.98. Our 6-piece towel sets are back in stock with extremely limited quantities, only $29.98. With hundreds of MyPillow products, there's something for everyone on your Christmas list. Bathrobes, duvets, quilts, down comforters, and so much more. So go to MyPillow.com or call the number on your screen. Use your promo code to save on all MyPillow products. For example, flannel sheets for as low as $59.98. Or our 6-piece towel sets, just $29.98. But that's not all. I'm extending our 60-day money-back guarantee until March 1st of 2025. Plus, all orders over $75 or more ship absolutely
Good afternoon.
free.
We are back. My name is Donna, and I'm your host of Donna's Edge Television Talk Show. I have David Buzzard with me right now, and he's running for U.S. Congress. He's in the great state of North Carolina. I love North Carolina, and my son and daughter-in-law are there right now, and they're going to be listening to this segment as well. Let's talk a little bit about the power. We've talked about educational system, but I would also like to ask you about tech jobs, because my dad was in the tech world. Okay, he almost wound up moving up, going at the bottom of a company, and moved up fairly fast because he really put all of his efforts into his job.
Mm-hmm.
And his welding, all this stuff in his. Now, we weren't like millionaires growing up, but I got to wear really nice clothes, and we had meat at every meal. So, I mean, it was a good living for him. He retired really well. What can we do to bring those jobs back to the United States? And are there any ideas you may have about that?
Absolutely. Well, if I'm being honest with you, a lot of those types of jobs are going to be replaced by AI, and it's going to be the types of jobs that require hand dexterity that I believe are going to be the biggest draws for human labor, which will, it's actually kind of funny. Oh, it's not funny, but I started realizing that auto shop workers are in such a high demand right now because no one knows how to fix their engines. And it's just like, it's something that I'm actually learning how to do my own engine because I can't pay the guy how much it costs to get it fixed. And what I'm trying to get at is, blue collar trade jobs are what I think are the future. Now we're going to need linemen. We're going to need people to lay the wires for these types of, data centers, these things that they're creating. And again, when communities lure these data centers in right now here in southeastern North Carolina, they're promising that if there's ever a power shortage, that the priority would go to the data centers rather than the people. And my whole thought process is I understand luring them in, and I understand giving them tax benefits and ways to create job growth, right? But we need to make sure that that's going to be long term, because in my mind, all I picture is a construction site for 10 years. And then within 10 years, robotics is at the point where those jobs are no longer guaranteed. And so all the benefit that we were given this organization or company is now kind of gone out the window because it's not market viable anymore. And so, if we're going to be putting in these types of facilities, one, those are great jobs in the first, in the first development phase. That's a lot of HVAC. That's a lot of concrete. That's a lot of steel work. That's a lot of fabrication. That's great. But we need long-term to make sure that those, the people that are looking after that data, it's still going to have some type of human component. Because again, when you look at a conservative lifestyle, I think it has to do with, earning a wage, having a level of independence, having your own castle, like a domicile that is yours, that you run the way you run it, you and your family. And that's really what kind of creates the conservative Christian lifestyle. If we just start handing everyone money and everyone gets a robot or whatever they say is going to happen, it sounds pretty communistic to me. It's definitely not what I voted for. And it's definitely not what our tax dollars should be going towards.
Okay, let me ask you tax dollars, okay, because this is like everybody's talking about this. And I know happening here in South Carolina, maybe no property taxes. And this is the issue I have. Okay, so we own a house. The house is paid for, but it's really not ours. If we don't pay the taxes on this every single year, it can be taken away from us. What are your thoughts about that?
Yeah, I think property taxes under a certain acreage are good. Or I'm sorry, above a certain acreage are good, if that makes sense. I don't want rich people to buy up 1,000 acres and then just be able to sit on it for eternity.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
You know what I'm saying? And so reverse wise, now when it comes to small parcelage, that's exactly the people that shouldn't be paying the taxes on it. And so I would like to structure it in a way where the smaller parcels pay no taxes. And then you have these mega land owners that are thousands of acres. They're the ones who have to pay a tax, because I don't want these mega millionaires to be able to buy up county-sized parcels of land and then rule over them like kings. That's not a good way to, that leaches into feudalism. And so we need to be careful of that as well. And so it's kind of a tricky one. But I would argue the lower size parcels of land shouldn't have taxes.
At least 8.4 acres. Okay.
Amen. Under 10 is reasonable.
Now let's talk about small businesses, because I'm going to tell you what, we have felt like we have been beat on for years. And so what can you do to make it easier? Because that's really where the bread and butter comes from.
Yeah. Well, we need antitrust laws. I mean, there's just so much monopolization going on with these. There's like 6 corporations that own every other company. It's just through shells. And so we need to make sure that there's a lot more ability for competition. I mean, again, I want to be, this is a little goofy, but I want to be a farmer. I want to have the ability I want to sell raw milk, even though we're not allowed to do that, but that's something I'm going to fight for.
I want chickens too. You're going to do the chickens?
Yeah. So
my girls are very healthy. Yeah, they're healthy.
Yeah. Well, and so we live right outside the city limits. If I was to be inside the city limits, I wouldn't be able to have these chickens. And so, we're also thinking about getting goats this year in order to do goat's milk and goat's cheese and all those things, because we want to be self-sufficient. And that's the type of thing that I think we want more small businesses. So personally, I like agriculture. I'm in the business of, I want to be in the business of making more small family farms. I want to give tax benefits and tax credits to creating, family farms, breaking up these mega conglomerations. Like right now, Smithfield, the pork industry, it's half owned by China right now. The distribution facility over here in Tar Heel, it's the biggest one in the world, I believe. I believe it's overwhelmingly owned by China. This is insane that foreign companies are able to invest and dominate our not only small businesses, but our entire food supply. And so these are things that I would be focused on. In terms of I want to own a food truck as well. That's another thing of a goal of mine. I want to do a food truck. I'm very entrepreneurial, but that's the thing again is creating incentives, because when you have business and you have a thriving economy, that's what creates, again, that vibrant middle class, which is what makes America great to begin with. And so we got to cultivate that.
Let me ask you another question. This is about the fisheries in North Carolina. I mean, there's enough fish to feed the world just out of North. Why are we buying fish from Japan? I don't get it.
Isn't that interesting? I live right here, a mile from the water, and it costs an arm and a leg still to buy the same fish that I would buy inland. No, that's exactly right. And it's interesting. North Carolina's, I believe that we allow foreign vessels into our estuaries to shrimp and to do all sorts of damage to our ecosystem with little benefit, if any at all. I agree, or I would think. And so, I would be pushing to, one, oust all foreign vessels. There should be no foreign countries and foreign vessels that are trawling our waters, fishing our waters. And then I would bring back some type of, tax incentive for localized purchasing of fish. And so that way we can keep North Carolina fish in North Carolina. Obviously, if we want to ship it somewhere else, that'd be great. But I shouldn't have to pay $25 for a tuna steak when I live a mile from the freaking water.
I understand. It totally makes sense. We only have a minute or so left in this segment. You're going to have to come back again because I have more questions for you.
Oh,
and
yes.
we don't have time. So how can folks maybe volunteer, give money to your campaign? How can they do that?
Yes, ma'am. So my website's nc4buzzard.org. You can reach me through there. I'm an open book. All of my social media is connected through that website. My WinRed donation platform is connected through that as well. So it's all legitimate. Please reach out to me. Specifically, if you reach out through the social media, I can definitely get you involved with the volunteer work, or just to reach out to me to talk. Like I said, I'm an open book. I think iron sharpens iron, and I want to talk to everyone. I'm a big believer in representatives talking with the people. That's what I want to be, and that's what I want to do.
There you go. David, thank you so much for being on the show. We've got to get more time in, okay? So however, we need to work that out. But again, thank you. And thank you guys so much for watching. You're the reason I do what I do for 20 and a half years. You're the reason for it. Continue sending email, Donna@donnasedge.com, Donna@donnasedge.com. You guys have a great, great day.